When our fragment is added to the view hierarchy, its onCreateView will be called to create the layout. At lines 79 and 80, we go ahead and inflate our 5-day forecast layout.xml file. And remember once again that we pass null as the second argument to inflate, because rather than supplying the view group to which this thing should be attached, we're going to rely on the fragment manager to do that automatically. We get the text view for the location and stored in location text view, and we get the container linear layout in which we will display all of the subviews for this 5-day forecast fragment. Now here is a key new piece for this particular class, which is that we need to figure out if we're in landscape or portrait mode. And based on whether we're in landscape or portrait mode, we will use a different layout to represent the data that's displayed on the screen. So we go to our container and get its context. From the context we get the resources object. From the resources object we get the configuration object, and then we access via the dot operator its orientation property. And that tells us whether the screen is currently in the landscape or portrait configuration. If that value is equal to landscape, then we're going to use the layout that's specifically for landscape mode. Otherwise, we're going to use the layout that's specifically for portrait mode, and at that point we're going to change the orientation of our container linear layout from its default horizontal to a vertical linear layout. Now, once we have that part set up, we create the array of views by inflating the appropriate layout for the individual daily forecasts. That is done here at line 106. Then at line 109, we add that new view that we just created to our container linear layout, and at line 110 we store a reference to that in our daily forecast views array, so that when we actually load the data, we'll be able to display the data into those views. Now once the GUI part is created, we also kick off a read location task, just like we did back in the single forecast fragment. We give it the zip code string to say which location we're going to be obtaining data for, and then separately we also once again create a listener that should be notified once the location is loaded. The weather location loaded listener will then read in the location data. If that data was read properly, it will go ahead and kick off a read 5-day forecast task.